Yes, back to presentation. Here you can see, I want to show some integrated motors in the beginning itself. You can see your motor is rotating, but your action is to and fro. There are some automation system where the people are doing this kind of actions. And some more planetary gear mechanism, harmonic drives, which is heart of robots nowadays. It will be look like this, where you can see the motor shaft is attached to the center part. Then in the outside, there are more gears and through which a load is going to connect it. So you can call this as a geared motors, but apart from that, it is called as harmonic gears. Why it is harmonics? In general, and as electrical engineer, you are aware, harmonics means a mixture of more things with a fundamental 50 Hz. Similarly, the center shaft, with that, you have more number of gears. That's why it is called planetary or harmonic drives. Those things we will discuss, right? Okay, right. So when you want to start to understand something about before delivering to the student, first you find out top 10 companies in the world who is making that particular content. In our case, this motor. So the top 10 manufacturers in the motor is ABB, Eskawa, Kuka, Kawasaki, Epson, like this. Why? Why we should go to that? Because what we are teaching, it should be lined with the industry where our graduates are going to look. Then only the bridge between industry and academia will be very close. That's the reason, right? So it is basically a learn how to learn concept, because see, now we are teaching a fundamental loss application characteristic selection, no doubt. But it should be a strong platform for a student when we go after 10 years. We don't know what would be the motor after 10 years. Maybe a frameless motor will come, I will show. Weaving of winding is happening now. We used to see the weaving of cloth, but nowadays it is not like that. Weaving of winding, you imagine, right? So those technologies will come up to the field, then only the robots and drive integration will going to be a bigger scale, right? What we should understand, he should go through like this. See, what do you mean by nominal speed? What do you mean by RMS torque? Then RMS speed. You can see the torque at RMS speed, torque at nominal speed, torque at dynamic torque maximum. What do you mean by torque constant? And what is your maximum winding temperature, ambient temperature? Then finally, you should know about the inertia of the motor. So when you buy a motor, then you should get the data sheet which contains all those things. Similarly, some class, IB class, all those things, right? So you can go through some kind of data sheet so that you can see some things. So here you can see, right? See, all the motors in all the application, only two purpose. One is called position, another is called velocity. So which we have to learn from the nature. See that tie hair, how it catch that meat. Very interestingly, how it position itself. You can imagine which control system acts this. PID control, PWM control, space vector PWM, right? Encoder, all those things. So basically it is for position and velocity. So if you see the application in robots, it starts from medical mobility, all-terrain mobility, AGVs, then you have AMR, autonomous mobile robots are coming up in a big way. Then industrial robots, robot mowers, agriculture robots, it's coming in another big way of potential. Surgical robots, it's another thing. I will share some of our experience with this. Then inspection robots, then we know everybody talking about EV, definitely it will be a bandwidth for maximum of 20 years. After that, biofuel will come, because ethanol is going to be a biofuel. So definitely in 2 decades, because France is the one country having 90% ethanol is a fuel, right? So we should go move towards. That's why central government is pushing that ethanol mixing in that. Lot of work is going on, but unfortunately because of media, politics, we are not able to look into that, hear into that. See, you should visit some of the website to understand that why we should understand that, right? Not more than politics. You should know where our students are going to position in next 20 years. There is one more product called Fluxy sensor. So the company like Pricol is working on that Fluxy sensor. What is that Fluxy sensor? See, one Indian oil have ethanol mixing of 32%, another company ethanol having 18%. So we don't know in which bunk will put a petrol or fuel, right? So once you put the Fluxy sensor inside the tank, then it should automatically detect what percentage of ethanol is being used. Accordingly, ECU should inject the fuel. So the injection control, multi-injection fuel system, microprocessor based, that's your ECU, electronic control unit. So that electronic control unit should calculate based on the Fluxy sensor data. So this is what the things are going on. These are some of the applications, right? So now, you can see here how the operation is going to happen, how the positioning is most important. So this is important. You can see. So the motor here, another motor here, another motor here, another motor in the bottom. So minimum 6 degrees of freedom, and it is moving right in this direction. So how the position is happening? So you take a basic servo motor. In servo motor, you have an encoder in the back side. You can see the encoder is revolving. And if you look, a three-phase supply is connected through your CNC system. The encoder is also fed back to your drive. And how this machine rotates, servo motor control system. Right? So it is basically a PMI, permanent magnet synchronous induction motor. So this machine is going to give a feedback to the controller. Accordingly, the controller will generate the control signals and it's going to operate like this. So here you can notice how in CNC lathe acceleration and deceleration matters. How fast your machines get accelerated and decelerated, how fast it's changing the direction. That's why I said you have to calculate inertia and all other things. Right? So this is another application. So maybe all these positioning we are basically doing with your PID controller, but more than that, you can see the linear motors with a resolution of nanometer. You imagine nanometer resolution is what it's going to be. So here the linear motors are moving with this kind of mechanism. So you have a stator in both the top and bottom. Then you have a rotating rotor or moving secondary. Here the secondary is moving, primary is excited. So a lot of linear mechanisms are used. This is one travel distance itself 20 mm, right? But lot of vibrations people are using in automation. When you want to positioning the washer, sample, screws, all those things, they will do this. This is another hexapad with a 200 Hz frequency of vibration, 250 nanometer. This is another automated application, and where you can see non-contact movement. And this is another rotating table, which is called as torque motor. Here you cannot see it as a motor itself, right? It is called direct drive. So there is no belt, no gearbox. The moving member itself is going to access a rotor. That is most important. Right? These are the few applications, but inside that, if you see, it is a coil with a permanent magnet rotor. So everywhere we are going to use either Lorentz force or reluctance force. So how to create Lorentz force or how to create a reluctance force? Basically, we need a coil, a magnetic part, or you can say electric circuit and magnetic circuit. When a current carrying conductor kept in a magnetic field, it will experience a force. But how these coils are placed, that is a question. So according to the need, the coil shape and the magnets all being changed. So here, when we go for understanding the geometry of motor, when you want to select a motor for particular application, then you should know about axial distance between motor flange and load point, say point A, this one, because all are mechanical part, which transfers your mechanical energy from motor to the load. So it's subject to a tangential force, torsional force, sometimes centrifugal force, twisting momentum. So those mechanical parameters will affect this. So we should be very careful while selecting these parameters. That's why I have shown here. So due to time constraint, I am not getting into the detail, but at the same time, I don't want to miss some of the data. If I give that, and you can have it in your mind, then you can do such, you can understand from the data. See, so tangential force, radial force, axial force, everything will be determined by this dimension of your shaft, either diameter or center distance, or how much distance with respect to your core, that means your center part, or from the shaft height, all these things, right? Right. So now we should find out the motor sizing first. Then we will decide which motor for which application. Suppose if you take one application like this, so everybody can do a sizing of servo motor, a comprehensive guide. It is available in Google. You can understand a lot of things from that. And if you go to a comprehensive guide for motor sizing, there are tools available, but you can go with this one. Here you can see comprehensive guide to a servo motor sizing. It has more number of pages, but it's a beautiful one, 160 page. It starts from basic, what is what. Then from that you can move, so you can understand load cycle, what is triangular profile, what is your trapezoidal profile, what is your all acceleration, deceleration, complete calculation you can do. The corresponding equations are given, so you can give it as assignment. And suppose you do oriental motors, oriental motor sizing tool. So people are mostly in industry using this online tool, right? So online tool you cannot understand what is what, but it will give the application like this. Say Biltar load screw. If your application is lying in this nature, or it may be in AG like this, you want to develop a motor for AG. Let us, I will take this example because it is closely related to your program right now. So it is AGV. See, they will give what is what. Then you have to select either metric or imperial. So now you should put what is weight. Suppose I am changing metric, then it will be changed to kg. Then what is outer diameter of the wheel mass, number of wheels, rolling friction. Then you have to fill all these data. Then if you give a calculate, then it will give what is the load torque with acceleration, deceleration, so motor torque. So those formulas, those software is developed basically from this guide, from this selection guide. So please go through it. It will give the detailed calculation about acceleration, deceleration, mass, how to calculate the inertia, mass for different profiles. Even I want to show one more thing. Maybe some of you might see. Those who have seen, please ignore it because it may get bored. But however, I want to start with all those things. I don't want to miss anything for freshers. If you see in the index, even they have given some of the material properties. That's why I want to tell. If you take aluminum, what is the density of the material, appendix? And even if you connect a screw root, ball screw, what is the efficiency? So all the details being given. What is the friction coefficient when you use a brass steel, plastic steel, and ball bushing bearing, linear bearing, all the information, right? It is given here. So it is a Bible. You can definitely, you should go through. So please get into that. So if you come back to this presentation, then you can notice. If you take a lathe, here it is parameter given, mu. So how to know mu? You have to look the data sheet, right? What would be the friction? But in this example, weight is given, friction coefficient is given, efficiency of the driving system, which I have shown in appendix, ball screw or belt or gear, whatever it is, then what the equivalent efficiency. It is a data sheet. So like mechanical design data handbook, we should have electrical design handbook like this. So somebody interested in writing book, those who can try. So it is about this thing. All the details are given. I don't want to read those things, but you can do a calculation. So why I am showing this one is, if you want to select a motor for any robot or lathe or crane or elevator, whatever it is, AGV, electric vehicle, first you should note down, calculate load torque. To calculate the load torque, you should give the system. In the system, you can understand what mechanical objects are being used, starting from friction or any gearbox, overall efficiency of individual system, mass, kg, inertia, everything. So this is a step number 1. And then we have to choose a feedback mechanism in robots and automation. You can notice here, system feedback, people are giving us a resolver. We know encoder, rotary encoder, absolute encoder, but one more thing is called resolver. If you take Fanuc servo motor used in CNC machine, you can see high resolution. That means how many pulses are being produced per revolution. Can anyone read in this and tell? It is 0, 1, 0, 1, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, lakh, and 32 lakh pulses per revolution. We imagine how to produce 32,000 pulses in one revolution. This 32 lakh pulse in one revolution is going to connect to your high speed input of DSP processor. That's why if you go to DSP processor, you have two inputs. One is normal digital input, which can buffer the data at normal frequency. One more is high speed input. So the data should be appeared at faster rate. If you convert this 32 lakh pulse per minute and you can divide it by 60, right? Then you will get clocks per second, nothing but frequency. So it will be in megahertz. In megahertz scan rate, the pulses being observed from the encoder into your processor, thereby controls the positioning. That's why in robot or nanometer positioning, you imagine, right? You know 1 mm. That's why I'm showing this pro circle. See, pro circle 1 degree you can mark. If you're asking to put 0.00001 degree, can you mark it? It's very tough. I hope you all will agree. So 1 degree, 360 markings. But if you're going for 32 lakh marking in 360 degree, you imagine how very close this, but it should be detected by your sensor. That's the most another important one. So this is another one where you are so this is why do we need micron positioning? You can see nowadays machines are used for manufacturing, not only for drilling technique, also to see the rocket shape. So the resolver is placed here. So how the resolver works? The resolver is basically electromechanical devices. Have a stated input and small two windings inside, one is sine side winding, another is cos winding. And when you rotate the shaft, both the windings are going to generate sinusoidal and cos waveform. So once the sine and cos waveform given to your ADC, and inside your ADC, you can divide the sine waveform by your clock. So you know that clocks are in terms of gigahertz in our DSP processor, right? So using the DSP processor, the clock is used to divide the sinusoidal EMF, which was generated by this. See why people are going with advantage is making an encoder disk, what we have seen earlier, encoder disk is very tough. You cannot put grade, right? laser grading is tough. For நீங்க ப்ரோசெக்ட்ல வந்துட்டு 360 degree மார்க் பண்ண சொன்னீங்கன்னா இந்த மாதிரி மார்க் பண்ணிடலாம். In encoder also you are going to mark these points. Then only the light will pass through this opaque portion. ஒரு black color லைனுக்கும் இன்னொரு black color லைனுக்கும் the distance between those two successive black color line is white, which is called opaque, through which a light is passing. The opposite side, the transmitter receiver sends this light and converts this optic lights into pulse. But making 32 lakh thousand marking in one process, you imagine, it's not possible. But we need that much of accuracy. So that what people wants to do in engineering. Why we should go so much complicated electronics? Cost will increase. Better you make two sinusoidal, one sinusoidal and one cosine waveform. Give this two waveform to your ADC. Do a ADC successive approximation. Divide that sinusoidal waveform into very fast, high frequency clock. So you will get the minute values of the sinusoidal waveform. That's what they are doing. So that was mentioned in this. Here you can see. So you can see when the RPM increase, the frequency of signal will also increase. So it's now running at around 2200 RPM. So one winding is excited and two windings are inducing voltage. So rotating transformer, high frequency rotating transformer is used to solve. So going with this kind of prices is very high. Right. This one. So now let us you understand in robots where the motors and drives are being used. Application. So far what we did, quickly we come out with top 10 manufacturer. You should know about the data sheet, what technical parameters are they using, so that you can see the definition where it is being used. How to size a motor, so you should understand the field requirement. So weight of the object, the degree, then transformation mechanism, what kind of gear, what kind of belt, and its efficiency, those things. Then feedback mechanism, mostly resolver is used here. Then where it's being used. If you take your robot, vertical motion, what do you mean by vertical motion? Moving up and down. Why I should understand this? Why I should understand about roll motion, pitch motion, vertical motion? What is the need for this to understand all these things? Then only you can understand how long this motor is going to operate. What is the duty cycle? Or this motor is going to operate for only 5 minutes in a day? If you take this pitch motion and all, short duty. But vertical motion, radial motion, equally, rotation motion, equally shares. Right? But yaw, pitch, all those things are going to operate then and there. So accordingly, you can decide your S1 to S8 periodic, continuous duty, intermittent duty, periodic intermittent duty, intermittent aperiodic duty with braking, and intermediate periodic or aperiodic with the load variation, with the braking, with the direction reverse. So many configuration is there. Why? If you know all these things, then only you will calculate RMS torque. Load torque, RMS load torque. If you know the RMS load torque, then accordingly you can choose the motor rating, 3 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt. See, one thing you should understand, earlier days, we used to use a HP, horsepower, because the British people used to refer horse as a pulling car. They used to horse those days, like every நம்ம ஊர்ல வந்து காளை, எருது, cow யூஸ் பண்ணணுமோ அந்த மாதிரி பிரிட்டிஷ் ஹார்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணா அப்போ he knows pulling of one mechanism needs 1 horse or 2 horse. He designed horsepower. But now in Industry 4.0, that means your fourth industrial revolution, motor rating need not to be in kilowatt. This motor rating or nameplate gives the output. Motor does not give electrical output, it gives mechanical output. Then why your nameplate should be in mechanical? It should be in electrical. Why it should be in electrical? It should be in mechanical. So the torque rating should be given Newton meter, so many Newton meter, 10 Newton meter, 3000 RPM, 20 Newton meter, 1500 RPM, like that. Instead, we are giving in 10 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt. So IEC doesn't recommend now. We should go with Newton meter, but unfortunately, NEMA, Americans, then they are only adamant they don't want to shift over to IEC standard Newton meter. Instead, they want to go with your HP. But we will change it, right? So again, the same application. So I think already we discussed about why we need a direct drive. So since built here, all occupies space, all needs transformation efficiency. So we want to overcome all those things. So here you can see high-speed needles are used in machine tool, semiconductor manufacturing equipment, cryogenic cooling pump, which is used in your satellite, and even for paper printing and converting in web processing. Several applications like medical system, robots, everywhere we want to use this. And if you see the motor which is being used, it's not with the conventional mechanical motors. More than that, we need. So even in your electric vehicle, people are using this. So different variety of motors. This one here you can see here all the motors used in robots and industrial applications. Some of them are direct drive, some of them are coupled drive. They are using. So now you can see one of the high density motor used in robots. This is your permanent magnet in the rotor. It's basically a servo motor, or you can call this as a PMSIM motor. But you see how the windings are being bound using machine to reduce the end connection. So compact, winding by manual is not at all possible. So you can notice here, the end turn is reduced drastically. See your end turn, the both side of the stator core contributes nearly 20% to resistance. 20% resistance, which is not required. Whereas the conductor lying in the overhang portion doesn't contribute anything. Conductor lying in the core, rotor core, is going to experience the force. So we have to minimize that, and some sensors integrated motor. And you can see another company called Megaflex, frameless torque motor. There is no frame. Instead of frame, directly you connect your external element. So it starts from 0.76 to 131 inch, or I could say 19 mm to 719 mm diameter. And torque also 0.008 Newton meter to 1875 Newton meter. You imagine, right? So 0.008 is a milli-Newton meter, right? So this is very tough to go with this, and you can see another range of motors used in this. So people are using this. Just I want to show how the motor windings and image look like. And next one, you have to see the frameless motor magnet. And this is the magnet table. People are using this. You can have a look. There is a neodymium, samarium cobalt. These are the majority of the magnets are being used. This samarium is an Indian dominant magnet because the DRDO scientists made this samarium composition well, and it is available in the country, which can withstand up to 300 degrees centigrade. Up to 300, 350 centigrade temperature, this samarium cobalt will have its operating, or it will not demagnetize. In simple language, I can say it will not demagnetize, but neodymium and all, it will demagnetize. And these are the rare earth magnets, lot of things available. Out of that, now people are using neodymium and samarium cobalt. You can see this. It is a brushless servo motor. So just I want to show this how it is being made. A characteristic, to understand the characteristic. One is Newton meter and another is torque. You can notice here, this red color line indicates a slotless peak torque. Blue color indicates slotted machine. Then another brinjal color, slotless continuous torque. And this green color, slotted machine continuous torque. So you can notice slotless motor having the advantage of, if you see this, how many times it is more. See here. Why? We are not moving into slotless right now, but all the motor manufacturing company abroad, particularly those who are making motor for robot, they are going with slotless machine with the material. Now 3D printing is coming up. So unless otherwise, if you are not catching up the technology, we will be very much back. So now you can have a look of that slotless machine. You cannot see this here. Winding is solid kind of winding. See now, this is a slotted machine. This is a rotor. Torque ripple is because of the slots. You can see torque ripple is coming. Why? It's because of this. Now you have a look here. It is a stator, there is no slot. Winding is placed inside, smooth cylindrical surface. So when you use this machine, then you will find less torque ripple. Because of the less torque ripple, you are getting good RMS torque, noiseless operation, vibrationless operation. So many advantages in this. So we should include all those things, like this is the company who is making this kind of motor. Frame size very strong, 38 to 190 Nm. Most of the robot motors are smaller in size, but torque you can see 75 Nm. So in most of the assemblies, fabrication, metering technology, everywhere people are using this motor. So now you can see, just I shortlisted the application. This is called your universal robots. In universal robots, you cannot see anywhere else motor. It is look like a joint, that's all. But inside the joint, they are going to have a motor. So you cannot see the motor. That is the beauty in this. Motor is kept inside, but you cannot see. There is no space for placing a motor separately and to connect it either gearbox or through belt or through chain, whatever the transfer mechanism. There is no that. In frameless motor, you can see this is your normal rotating magnet is inside, stationary wound armature. So it looks like a concealed winding. We know that in all the motors, D square L rule is used for output coefficient, C naught D square L. So diameter and the length decides. But here, they are increasing both length and diameter because of the provision of frameless. So you can see what are the factors to be considered when you go for this one. So you have to choose a low speed, high torque machine, suggest larger diameter. High speed torque machine, go for lesser diameter. Then stack length, if you increase, you will get machine with a lesser diameter. Lesser diameter means 5D less. Peripheral velocity is going to be less. Torsional force is going to less. So you can make your motor with a less cost material. There is another advantage why you want to go for less diameter and more length. And sometimes you are in a position to give a cooling. All those things you can see. This is another thing. Here you can see in robot motors, even the bearing is part of your shaft. If you want to dismantle, you cannot rewind all this thing, use and throw. That's why it is costly. All are. The purpose I want to show is the closeness. See here, the groove and the gap between this is, you can see the gap per side, 0.1 mm or 0.05 mm. You imagine. Now we are making the motor in the air gap 0.5 mm. If you go Sahani group, and if we teach with the Sahani group, we'll give an air gap of 0.5 mm, 0.6 mm. But you see the air gap 0.1 mm. Very, very thin. Means how close your rotor and stator, what should be the dynamic balancing capacity in that, then only it will be possible. And have a look on this. This is another company who is making robot joint. You can look into the winding, and this is a disc, encoder disc for some motors. You can see small lines. It is a joint, that's all. It's a robot joint, which is called as integrated motor. Direct drive, integrated motor. But all are, you should keep one thing in your mind, all are working with Lorentz force and reluctance force, which we are talking for conventional DC motor, induction motor. Current carrying conductor kept in a magnetic field, it will experience a force or the tendency of rotor to align along minimum reluctance point. See, this is one surgical robo, a doctor operating from the master console, and rotor is going to move. This project we did, Endotrainer project, DST funded. We bought motor from Maxon company, MAXAR, Maxon. 150 watts, 1,25,000. You imagine 150 watts motor, 1,25,000. What technology we can do? Same kind. See here, the motor winding, concentric winding, how very close, neatly arranged, and the magnet is segmented magnets with the encoder. Everything fixed inside. There is an outer joint. It's completely. Now you cannot see whether it is motor or, but it is rotating. The rotating itself, rotor itself has a link for the robot. So that's why it is called compact machine. This is a robot joint, and you can see integrated chip as in a decoding and encoding mechanism. 5 nanometer resolution. You imagine this, and so many tracks in this. So when a light passes through that, your receiver receives the signal, then that signal is converted into pulses. Those pulses are used as a feedback. Due to time limitation, I am using this. So quick settling time, high torque has several advantages. This is what I want to show from Maxon company. You have a Maxon DC motor. Some people call this as electronically commutated motor, which is brushless. Sometimes this brushless AC servo. See, DC motor is okay, nomenclature. When they made a DC motor with a brushless mechanism, then they call it as brushless DC motor. But brushless DC motor nowadays called as trapezoidal back EMF. If it is a sinusoidal back EMF, the people are calling this as servo or brushless AC or PMSI, permanent magnet synchronous induction motor, PMSI or brushless AC motor, or simply servo motor. All are comes under this category. So it is just to show that the speed you can see 1 lakh RPM here. This machine is capable of running at 1 lakh RPM, imagine. So in our induction motor, we are limiting 3000 RPM, but in brushless, 1 lakh commutation is going to be electronically. So the MOSFET or IGBTs are switching at high speed. Lower machines are still using higher end transistor, small like 70 watt, 50 watt machines. So this is a linear motor which you have to understand how it is made. So the cylindrical induction motor is like this, just to cut and split like this. So now you will get it as a linear motor. There are two linear, moving secondary, moving primary. Depends upon the application you can choose. This is what I saw. It itself calls Moon's ionless machine. Scientist Moon's concept. See, it's wound machine. It's like a weaving of cloth. It's being weaved, and you have a incapacities in all the machine. Then you have a Moon's ionless winding. Then you have a magnet, all sensor. Then all your supporting mechanism makes your machine become slotless motor. And this is another brushless motor with the sensor inside, magnets. Could you see any difference in this magnet? The magnet is skewed in this. Magnet is skewed here. You can notice. It is not a straight axis. It is slightly skewed. First is here, then second is put little away from the central axis. Then another one like this. The skewed magnet is provided for sinusoidal back EMF. So if you have sinusoidal back EMF, then your torque ripple will be minimized. And sometimes you will have a gear box like this. So many gears here, planetary gearbox. Maybe we can show some of the videos later on. This is your micro stepping motors, which are also used in your robot and automation application. Here you can see hybrid stepper motor. Again, stepper motor is made up of laminated stepper. And you can see the rotor here. And here you have a stack 1 and stack 2 multi-stack motor. Here it has a 2-stack. And the rotor teeth are misaligned. The teeth of first stack is not same as the top second one. Here you can see. This is your teeth. This teeth is not aligned with this teeth. It goes centered. Hope you could accept this. It is centered. So misaligned. So this misalignment of rotor teeth are purposefully made for providing sinusoidal. Then small 10 mm, you know 1 centimeter. And 1 watt. You know this machine cost. It comes around 20,000, 30,000. 1 watt. But they are going to fix those motors in the finger gripper. See, now you could imagine how our fingers are working. Any degree of freedom, right? You can move in any direction. It's not moving in only this. You can fold it and you can rotate. If you want to understand this position and velocity, you should visit the flower market or in front of temple, Cathedral. So you can see that how it's flexible. So they are making this motor, brushless DC motor, and some kind of help to the handicap support. You can use lot of arms like this. And this is another electric vehicle frameless machine. These are the speed that what we discussed later, earlier. So now this you must understand this. planetary gearbox. Let us have a look on this video. So this is the center part, what you are seeing your shaft. Then you have a 3 gears, that's why it is called planet. Sun on the central planet superior. Central shaft is connected to your motor rotor, then remaining things are outside. But it has a lot of advantage. If you take wheel drive, planetary gearbox are used in higher end HGVs. You can see. This is attached here. You can see cut section view of the machine. You can see this picture. It is a slotless machine. You can have a look in. There's a point. This point inside your rotor, and here you have a sun gear or planetary gear or harmonic gearbox. See how this shaft is attached with all the gears, and not only that, this outer part is rotating. That's what you have to look. So this is the actual shaft of your machine. When it rotates, the planetary gear makes the outer portion to rotate. So this outer portion is directly coupled to the machine. So this one you can go through this. So because of the shaft rotation, outer is rotating. This is a spindle motor used in any CNC machine, center part. So how the outer part is moving, you can have a look on this. This is about planetary gearbox. This is about motor control and all. The next machine is your stepper motor. This is also another important motor used in robots and automation. So here you can see the pre-wound coils are placed here. So here you can see the stator pole are being teethed in structure, and you have a rotor. The rotor is hybrid rotor. It has a permanent magnet along with the VR, variable reluctance rotor teeth. And it has more teeth. The number of teeth in the rotor will give the position accuracy. And depends on the excitation, what you are going to give here. So these opposite, diametrically opposite pole faces form a phase. Then you give excite. So you can change the polarity of current, thereby the polarity of pole. You can notice here sometimes it is red plus, sometimes minus. So accordingly, the north and south pole will be formed. So the rotor will move either in clockwise or anti-clockwise. So this is about your stepper motor. So when you go for the sizing, some of the conversion, you have to follow this. Conversion of torque, which I have shown already. So Newton meter to kg, centimeter, meter, house inch, LB inch, LB foot. Different companies follow different. So always you can take this conversion. Also, the moment of inertia. So moment of inertia also you can use this. These are available in data sheets. Okay. So when you want to calculate the total torque that should be produced by your machine, you should know about total torque for rotary and linear motion. In linear motion it is called as force, but in rotary motion it is called as torque. That's the difference. So total peak torque is given by the torque required for the acceleration, torque required for the friction, torque required for your windage action. Then gravity torque. Gravity torque is torque for given mass. Suppose you take a lift. when you operate the lift from the top, it is coming down. So it is the mass acting on that is determined by your gravity. Suppose if it is a rotary, then you can find out acceleration torque using moment of inertia and acceleration time, and also transmitting efficiency you can find out. For linear, force is given by mass into acceleration. This E efficiency, say suppose I am using a gear, then I am calculating the torque at the output side. So output divided by efficiency will give the input. That's what connected to your motor. So you have to be very careful in using this formula. And also acceleration, yes, you can calculate using these formulas. So I don't want to read into that, but if you go to a comprehensive guide, then you will get all the information. I took it from one or two comprehensive application guidance. Then you have to find out load torque. Say earlier what we did, alpha, how much acceleration torque required, you substitute this formula. Once you know the moment of inertia, then what mechanism you are implementing, you refer the annexure of the servo motor guide to understand the efficiency, ball cue, speed or timing belt, which of these you are using. So you can take this value of E from data sheet. Then alpha, of course, user will give, I want to get the acceleration from this second to this second. It may be second or mostly tenths of second or single second. Then mass, moment of inertia, you have to get it from where? From the manufacturer. That's what I have shown in the beginning slide. So you can get it from there. Suppose if the moment of inertia is readily given and you may have different unit, again you have to use that unit to convert that moment of inertia. Then you find out. So once you find alpha, acceleration torque, F, frictional torque, W, windage torque, then you can find out what is your total torque requirement. You use RMS torque. This RMS torque is used to accommodate your loading pattern. Earlier I told continuous torque, intermittent torque, intermittent periodic with the jock operation, intermittent periodic with the jock and plucking, braking, those kind of things. So using that you can, you need RMS torque. RMS torque is given by root of this alpha square plus PF square, PW square, then gravitational torque. Then this is your on time and off time. So you can calculate the RMS from peak and continuous load. So in this case, peak load torque is 6 kW, and you can notice how they are calculating RMS. So this, I am showing this, I am not reading all the thing, but it is available in that servo guide. Same thing is available in your Oriental online motor tool, sizing calculator. So due to time constraint, I am using this. I will share the slides. Only formula, physics formula. We have to find out moment of inertia. The formula is given for different shape, circular shape, cylindrical shape, hollow cylindrical shape, or it may be sometimes your outer periphery of your thing. You have to subtract inner portion to find the inertia. Hollow shaft is different from normal shaft. So those calculations is given here for different applications. So we can go through this. And when you want to sizing a motor, we must understand about the common mechanical transmission also. Like timing belt, if you use, what is that backlash, stiffness, can be used for high torque train or low torque train. All the performance parameters you can compare. So I took these data from different data sheets, different manual application notes based on our need. When we do some R&D work or product development, by the time we need some data, so we search. From there, I took small things and put it in that slide. I am consolidating to you right now. And similarly for spur gear, helical gear, planetary gear, harmonic gear, cycloidal gearbox. So for those things, it has its own disadvantage and advantages, right? Speed, price, all the things we have to consider. So that what this. And the next one is if you use an encoder, then definitely we should use a shielding. Shielding is most important. Hope you must aware why the shielding is being used. Because suppose you take this machine, your conductor is this one, right? This is your conductor. This is your external insulation. Suppose I am going to put the conductor inside copper bar, let this blue color line is copper. And when your magnetic field comes from outside, what will happen? This high frequency magnetic flux penetrate through this insulation and it will cut this conductor. What will happen? Whenever a change in flux, high frequency pulse will be look like this in data, right? Data cable. So this high frequency pulse cuts this conductor and EMF will be induced. Already this carries a clock pulse or data zeros and ones. So this EMF will be superimposed on this EMF pulse, and sometimes this pulse may go high or the pulse may be disturbed like this, the magnitude, right? So this will get damaged. The signals will be filtered. So to avoid that, what we are providing, so better you put sealed in this, right? Inside this insulation. Sealed is the aluminum braided wire, you know that. So when this flux comes, magnetic flux lines comes and cuts this, immediately this acts as a conductor and that will induce a EMF. That sealed is connected, you can notice here, to the body and then to the air. So this sealed acts as a load. Whatever the flux comes, that will vanish here itself. It is a sealed. எப்படி வந்து bullet proof போட்டுக்கிறாங்களோ gun வச்சு அடிச்சா இங்கோட பட்டு போயிடும் உள்ள penetrate ஆகும். Similarly, the flux lines will not penetrate. But there are some rules. If you want to do a sealed connection, just like that we cannot do. Here you can see it is a twisted together CRST. It is a ground, so single pointed connection. Here also you can see sealed is connecting like this. Sometimes sealed will not be grounded. One side they will connect and another side it will be kept open. So sealed cable techniques, application notes are there. You can go and read in that. Right. It's already we have discussed. Of course, this to find out area, volume, all those shapes, and people want to use this to find out moment of inertia and all. So far, quickly to refresh what we discussed, we started with application. Mainly the robot motors are used for position and velocity. First, you should know what are the companies, then some specifications, then application. Each application demands this thing. Mainly it's for position and velocity. Then few videos to understand how fast it accelerate and decelerate. Because this acceleration, what you are seeing is T alpha. Right? So we should know about velocity, how fast it should accelerate. That way you can find out T alpha and all those things. So then the machine, some of the extension shaft decides mechanical thing, most important. Normally in field, what are the data will be provided. So using that we have to find out the motor torque. Then feedback mechanism, resolver is one of the important feedback. There's 32 lakh thousand pulses per minute, not at all possible with your encoder. And some applications we have seen where you are using, it will be very much useful for duty calculation, duty cycle calculation. Again, what is direct drive, some application we have seen, some image pictures, all are BLDC motor, but how it's being designed. So that is important. We are not getting into the design of BLDC motor. Maybe for sake of interest, I may share to your course coordinator, Mr. Mohan Raj, our catalog. In next week, I think so, we have one course, overview of design of advanced motors. In this, we are going to discuss about the design, material, different winding concept, or BLDC, PMSIM, SRM, SINRM, all the motors. Interested, you may attend evening course part-time, alternate days. Industry people are also coming in there. So it's up to you. So information, it is not, you don't think it's a marketing, sorry. Then we gone through frameless motor and magnet applications, some of the applications. And yes, these Maxon and all you should go through and read what is inside. And planetary gearbox, all those applications we have seen. And some conversion table, how to calculate acceleration torque, friction torque, windage torque, all the formulas. I am not going into the formulas. Basically, these formulas are detailedly derived from physics, right? Normal stuff. Some example, and it's given. And while you select some of the data, what you have to look. So then, if you come to the drive part, robots, motor, what are the motors we have seen? And quickly, if you see the drive, see, basically this motor connected to load. It may be a robot arm, or it may be a HGV, or it may be a moving platform, it may be your machine, whatever it is, through some mechanical transmission, ball screw, or spur belt, or spur gear, harmonic gear, anything. You need an input. The amplifier is your basically drive. Mostly it is your field-oriented control, FOC, field-oriented control. Then it is your position controller. So from the motor, resolver feedback is coming to your processor. It may be a DSP processor or higher-end micro processor controller. And it ADC converts. That's why I said you have analog sinusoidal, and suppose we have a cosine waveform. Both this sine and cosine is going to divide by n number, n counter. All the electronics will be inside. So from here, mostly in automation, control is happening from PLC or PC based automation, or sometimes people will use like this kind of platform, API, application program. It may be running in HMI, or it may be running in your PC, or it may be running in your some kind of iPad, Android, iPad or something else. So from here, they will generate a clock pulse, and pulse will be given as output. Why? There are a few input systems you should know. First, analog input, AI, right? In analog input, we will give 0 to 5 volt as a command. So if you have a potentiometer, you turn this potentiometer, so 0 to 5 volt will go to your microcontroller. This 5 volt will be converted into minimum 16 bit, like this, 0111, which is called 2 bytes. 8 bit is 8 bit equal to 1 byte. So 2 bytes are going to be word, 16 bit. That's why it is called as control word, right? So you can give analog input, or you can give binary input. That means your drive has 2 binary inputs. That is, for example, so 00, 01, 10, 11. So 4 possible speeds are possible with this kind. So you can choose 00. Both switches are off. Just you connect a toggle switch. Both are open. 00. Then you can program. Say it should run at 500 RPM. If you close only one switch, you close this switch 01. So if you do that, it may run at 750 RPM. Like that, 4 programmable speed can be done, where you cannot do continuous speed, but 4 programmable speed. There are some machines where you want to operate at 4 programmable speed. Then another one is PTO, pulse train output. So this is a mostly one used pulse train output. So say it will be 100 kilohertz pulse maximum. So from PLC, this kind of pulse train will come to your microprocessor as a command. So this will be generated in your HMI. Say I am giving 1000 RPM and I am entering. If you go for CNC machine, they will write like say G97, X100, Y200, F100.5. It is a program, G code program. So simultaneous control, X-axis should move 100 mm, Y-axis should move 200 mm at a feed rate of 100 mm per second. This is the meaning of this program line. So if you execute this program, then your compiler will convert this G code, M code, S code, T code into this bits. These bits will be again converted into this pulses. So these pulses are connected to my processor high speed input through a twisted pair cable. We already discussed, because some external noise should not damage this pulse. So you should provide immune. So this is about typical block diagram. And of course, this you can see electronic commutation of BLDC machine. Most of you know that. So I want to energize that particular phase, which have a back EMF of positive. If you inject a current is positive, then the positive torque. Suppose E is negative, then you should inject I negative so that it will give positive torque. So like that, you have 6 pulse combination, or you can go with FOC. So those things, I'm not getting into that. It is about the brushless drive or PMSIM, sinusoidal drive. So in sinusoidal drive, you know that FOC, field oriented control. So whatever the things you are having is 3-phase. 3-phase is converted into 2-phase, alpha, beta. And with respect to rotor, if you again convert, then you will get D and Q. So using D and Q, you are separating flux component and torque component. Of course, you know this. And this flux and torque component is used like a DC motor, shunt motor. So the induction motor or PMSIM motor is run as a DC shunt motor. So you can control for 0 to maximum speed with the same torque. That's why it is called as constant torque motor. So resolver, I think we discussed earlier. So it is about closed loop operation. I think it is 11. And these are the simple concepts that are being used in your robots. Anything specific with that? Because I plan for 9:30 to little delay start. 11 o'clock after class. Any specific thing if you want to ask, then I am ready to clarify. Any questions in there?
So, dear participants, if you have any question, then you can ask Dr. Sundaram sir.
I have rushed through, but still I can answer for another, even if we have 10-15 minutes, doesn't problem. But whatever we have discussed so far, if you have anything, then you can ask. It's now people are thinking that electrical machine is obsolete, but there is a period where you can do a lot of working machines. But only thing, we need a manufacturing support. Still, we have a huge gap in making this kind of motors. But all are getting into the automation. All the applications. So if not, then you can close it. It's up to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your extraordinary presentation. We have enjoyed your way of delivery of the content, and we have learned many things about different types of motor and its characteristics, sir. So this was new to us. So I thank Dr. Sundaram, sir, for accepting our invitation and delivering the wonderful lecture. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir, and convey my best regards to HOD all members. Also participants, only thing, as a faculty, please try to integrate, that is most important. Making the participant to interact is another talent. Online class, complaint. So hope you will agree my point, and thank you. If you have anything, then you can contact me. email ID. I will share the brochure of the course. Interested any of your research guide, you or if you want to do further research on that, you can attend that. Mostly all are industrial approach design only. So that's all from my side. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, dear participants, thank you for attending session 1. Session 2 will start by 11:45 a.m. as per the schedule. So, I have posted the feedback link in the chat box. I request all of you, so please fill the feedback form. Thank you all. So, we will meet on 11:45. Thank you.